Hello,
How do you have sunglasses on?
because I'm sitting in my backyard.
What time is it there?
It's 3 o'clock.
Oh, it's 6 here.
Yeah. I gotta go get a pen, so I will be right back.
Okey-doke.
You sit. You sit. Come on, lay down. I came in the backyard. There was a cat, and the dog just went crazy chasing the cat up over a fence.
Funny.
So I haven't found. I don't like that recording I did, so I'm still trying to get a book to go get some more recordings for you. So I haven't forgotten.
Okey doke.
Hopefully next week I can do it. I'm just really freaking busy too. Did I tell you I closed my biggest deal?
No.
Five. I already have two clients from this company. They just gave me five more.
Wow. This is executive coaching?
Yep. Yep, including three.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm getting 60 grand for the five new clients.
Wait, how much?
60, 12K a client
Awesome.
paid in full. So I have to be disciplined about, putting the money away for taxes, little credit card debt, like paying for class, and then put myself on a 6 month, 5,000 a month or whatever thing. Yeah, because I have to do five 360s. I told him I can't do them all at once. We'll have to skip, move
What
them
did
out.
you charge for 5 360s?
Well, it's five 360s and 6 months of coaching. So it's 12,000. It should have been 19,000, but they had some end of the quarter money and they said, if you could make it work, we can pull the trigger right now. So I decided to take the bird in the hand, even though it was a
Hmm.
little less. Kiwi,
Yeah.
come. I'm gonna go
I
put him in.
just, okay.
You go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I have another, a different client who is, they just asked her to give them, the company, one of the companies she does work for, just asked her for a proposal for 11 360s and one coaching session for each one.
Well,
And
are these survey style or mine are interview style? So I am doing six for each person. They answer the 360 questions. I do six interviews. And so I can't do that many because I'm doing actual interviews.
I don't, she didn't tell me which, she just said 360s. So I assumed it was the regular kind of
Well, there's
360.
two kinds. Some people just do it as a survey and some do it interview style. So mine's interview style. So I try to keep 3 to 4 grand per on those if I can.
Yeah. Well, when I worked through it, we came up with 10, well, between 9 and 10. So for 11 people for the 360 and the one coaching session. And then I said, if you have any other coaching sessions, then you gotta, charge extra for that.
Well, they asked me about doing the 360s and then figuring out if they have a cheaper budget with somebody else. And I said, I'm not a 360 facilitator. I'm an executive. I was so proud of this. I said, but I don't just do 360s. So if you want me, it's coaching or coaching plus 360s, but there's no 360 only option. And he was like, okay then,
Well, there you go. Yeah.
because being,
So this was just
yeah.
the
And then how they
360.
how this came about was during the 360 for the two women that I'm coaching, I talked to VPs in other divisions and they basically said, oh, I'd like to do this for my people.
Yeah.
And then I have a call with a third person this in November, and if he needs more people in the short term in this quarter, I'll have to subcontract and bring somebody in to do some of the work for me.
Well, hey.
Would you want to do that? Would you want to do executive coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna tell you, I was just, like every year or every other year, I get asked to do executive coaching work, and I don't normally do it because I have a corporate background, and I was a C-suite. I was, I mean, I was, um, a director under C-suite. So um, every once in a while, somebody will, remember who I was or what I did. They'll be like, "Are you doing executive coaching? I'd love for you to." No, I got some clients that'll be good fit for you. But I wonder if I should do it. Every once in a while, I think about it.
Well, and I'm torn between the corporate and the private clients. So I have a lead person now for the private clients, and we're getting some good pipeline built up. Because the corporate, it's nice because it's a gift that keeps on giving, right? And the new
Yep.
VP and the VP that the COO and I used to work together. The VP loves me. She might be promoted because he's retiring. She loves me. I just did my positive intelligence talk, and I had 80 people there. And you're familiar with positive intelligence, right?
Oh
The
yeah.
whole, yeah. I do that talk a lot, and they paid me to do it, and I just tailored it because I know how contentious our meetings are. And I said, what if you led the meetings from your sage energy and not your mature energy? And if you guys, we did breakout
Well,
sessions and said, if you went in and how you do business, and the breakout sessions were fantastic, and the conversations afterwards was amazing. And so I'm just continuing, and this is just one division of the company. And so my hope is the people, they'll be happy with the results of the coaching, and then I can become an approved vendor.
yeah.
So it's a
I mean,
billion
that's what I
dollar,
would.
it's a
That's
billion
what I
dollar.
would use it. Yeah, that's what I would use it for. Is like just an in to get back into companies because I actually want this course to be. I want to go into companies and
Mm-hmm.
certify their employees, but I don't
Well, I think so.
have.
I think you leader as coach would be such a big thing for you.
Yeah, so I don't have the connections anymore.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, if I got into executive coaching, I could develop some more connections. We'll see.
Well, we can talk about that offline, what I do, I'm gonna take my dog inside so he won't be a distraction because he's just being a distraction right now. And so I will be right back. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hello.
How are you?
I didn't realize it was Wednesday. Thank goodness something clued me in. Because I was just writing. I had two new clients this week, so I have to write longer assessments for the first ones. And I thought, oh, look, I'm all done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 3 o'clock on Wednesday, no less. So
You're both in the same
anyway,
time zone. That's good.
yeah. So yeah, just working on getting clientele and um the balance between like what is it I actually want, which is income versus like do I want to make a multinational conglomeration or do I just want to fill 12 spots and be an artist? And I realized, yeah, all my ideas are too complex. So
Sorry, when you first start, at
anyway,
least simplify. So the
I
simplest,
did get my website up and it's just 1-to-1. I have 12 spots Monday through Wednesday. It's 1-to-1, either individual couples or coaching because I need to start getting experience. And I learned on Monday that my counseling style is more like coaching to begin with, which is why I'm having a hard time separating the two because it feels like I'm supposed to stop something, but I'm not sure what. And then when I try to stop it, then I sort of freeze and I don't know where to go to next because somebody disconnected all my dots. So
they'll connect again. It just takes time, a little bit of time. That's all. You'll get used to it.
I
All right.
think so.
So who
But other than
coached
that, it
on,
looks like it's under control.
okay? Who coached on Monday? Did you, Bonnie?
Accidentally. I mean, I got
Accidentally?
reassigned.
Yeah, she coached on Monday and she did fantastic.
Oh,
Thank
cool.
you.
By far her best coaching session, or just fantastic. I think
Thank you.
I didn't get a chance to look at the review. Usually I look at
I
them.
think she did fantastic.
They told me to
Awesome.
just do what I do in therapy. It was so much more natural.
Was that Lori? Was it Holly's feedback?
Yeah, she says, well,
Awesome.
just do what you do. See,
See, yeah, see
right?
how it comes out. Yeah.
And yeah, and so the only thing I had to hold back on, and maybe there was a way to do it, but I haven't figured that out yet. Some of the questions Allison was asking, I actually knew the answers to from both theory and what to do perspective, but I didn't answer. I just let her tell me her story. Because I love her stories anyway. She always takes me on a ride.
She does have stories.
She does. And
Yeah.
they're exhilarating and they're inspiring. And she gives me goosebumps when she talks. So
Oh, thank you.
All right.
truth.
Okay. And she's a talker, and you're a talker too. You both are talkers. I will say that.
Oh, hell.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. I just said you're both talkers.
I'm a chatty
Um,
Cathy.
yeah. Um, okay. So I'm going to do a kind of a pulse check. How are you guys feeling about the material, applying things that you've learned so far, both kind of the emotional intelligence piece and kind of core competencies as well?
Um, I really like the refresher on the core competencies. It's been really good. It's also challenging at times because of the type of coaching. Sometimes they really want more business coaching than executive coach, so it really is depending on the role. But I'm really trying to I'm being more structured on the getting the coaching agreement and
Good.
and making that and trying not to let it go sideways and to stay in that frame. The emotional intelligence piece, I mean, to me, it's just like, just notice the emotions. Like, I don't know if there's some more learning I'm supposed to be getting from this. So I feel like I thought we were going to kind of go into the different phases of emotional intelligence more and really dig into like managing, self-regulation, all of that. So I don't know if we're going to be doing that, but I thought we were going to have more of that type of really getting into the emotional intelligence than we are. I have to be honest.
Yeah, so I mean, we do go into, it depends on each chapter dives into a specific competency and then the emotional intelligence skill that goes with it. But yeah, self-regulation is part of it, um, as well as helping clients to regulate. Let me look at the,
I think I was working on the homework book last night and I worked down through the end and I noticed that there was more substantial theory around emotional intelligence upcoming.
yeah. So we're on, let's see, what are we on? We are on
Chapter 10 or 11. I didn't.
we are on that's not right. 4, you're cohort 4, right? I'm looking at 5 going, wait, those dates don't match.
Understanding, we're on 12 now, are we not? Understanding the
You're
client's
on,
context?
you had 10 on Monday, right? Facilitating awareness and
No,
insight. Yeah.
hang on.
And then next week is supporting client growth and understanding client context. So both of those will have things as well on well, they all have something on emotional intelligence. But oh no, wait, let's see. So today is, yeah, I was right.
Oh, we did 11 last time.
You didn't do 10, facilitating awareness and insight?
On a second. I'm trying to. I refiled everything over the weekend and it's mood based. I have to try to get back into my headset as far as oh.
Yeah, it should have been
So
10. Do you remember, Allison?
It was, I thought it was 10 last time.
Yeah, it should have been 10.
Yeah, because remember
could be
we had
because
to help you, I had to help you
to-
find it. Yeah, I'm looking it up right
yeah,
now.
I had to start the lesson in order to download chapter 11. So
Yeah, we did 10, we did
we're
10
on
last time.
11.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
10.
yeah. So facilitating awareness and insight, that was 10.
Yeah.
So then next week
Yes.
you have supporting client growth, 11, and then understanding client context, which is 12. So there'll be, there'll be some more. some deeper emotional intelligence skills there.
Cool.
Um,
No, I mean, it's great. I will say it was more of, I will say that it was, it was more CPC than less than EQCC, right? Which is, again, going back after, I took the classes and did it in 2017 and 18. So review is always great. I
Yeah.
just had thought it was, I didn't know about the CPC piece of it being maybe the dominant theme, right, of it.
As a
yeah. So this is because it's a level.
non-accredited,
No, it's
I'm
accredited. So the level.
appreciating the focus on the coaching over the ACC or like ECC flavored coaching, because I don't have the background that Allison has. So
Right.
we would
So this,
bring two
the
perspectives.
main, right, the focus, this is a level 1 program. So if you look at ICF level 1, we're focusing in on the new coach. And so that has to be the
Mhm.
core competencies or a
Right.
coach that learned under the old competencies. So this works well for them as well. But also incorporating the emotional intelligence and going for your credential. So we're able to use level 1 for those purposes, even if somebody already has a CPC or something similar. I will say this course is actually going to wind up being a level 2 course. And so we're going to be adding on more emotional intelligence stuff. And so that will be for people that have already done this level and they're going for a PCC.
So is there like an EQCC level 2?
It'll be part of that program.
Okay, so it won't
It'll
be
be a
like,
master. It'll be a master.
okay, so it'll be a new, like a level 2 program for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It won't have the CPC part.
Okay,
It'll be a master. You'll get a master cert in emotional intelligence.
okay, so, okay,
Yeah. So that'll be a level 2. And that's for people working towards their PCC. So that's why this program has to be the way it is because of the, and then the level 1 will still be here. We're just gonna
yeah.
build off of it for a level 2. Anyway, I gotta start somewhere,
There's
right?
mine.
No, it's great. It's great. And with this new influx of clients, I'm pretty sure I can, if I can get the 360s done and get to the coaching before, I think January is my target to hopefully have the hours now. We'll see.
What is a
Awesome.
360?
Pardon me?
What is a
360 is an
360?
assessment.
So a 360 is to give you a 360-degree perspective of how you are perceived by others. And so you interview somebody who is a leader typically, and you interview people that they report to. You interview peers and you interview people that report to them with the same sequence of questions. And then you collate them and share with them. And then they also take it to see what the gap is between their perception of themselves and others. And then that's what you used for them to see the areas of strengths and the areas of needs development. And that often is the basis of coaching. And then you come back at the end of the coaching to see how they've improved on that.
Is that general public or leadership oriented?
It could be anybody, but primarily companies use it for leaders.
Okay, so you have to pay and get
Executives, directors,
certified in it?
anybody.
Pardon me?
You get paid and certified in the administration of the assessment?
I don't get certified in it. I bought a specific program from a coach because I wanted to, and her training and processes. So I have that so that I can do it in the best of my ability. It was worth the investment to me. I've gotten it back, tenfold. And so some people write their own questions. Some people find them online. She has a very intentional flow of questions that I've licensed the right to
Okay.
use under my brand.
So
makes
if you
sense.
look at like even the EQI 2.0, which is what the material that we cover in here comes from, they have a 360. So I'm certified in the 360, focused on emotional intelligence, but it incorporates just all the leadership skills as well. So you can get different certifications that include a 360, and most of them are going to give you the foundation to be able to do any type of.
So there's a 360 framework that you can attach other, like a Christmas tree can have different ornaments hung on it, right? So the 360 is a framework for identifying perception gaps in different contexts.
I don't know if I would. Wait, let me want to do it this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about it's helping them find their blind spots in the, in how they're perceived, but it's also skill set gaps. I think it also is that their managers might already be telling them this stuff, but they might blow it off, like they might have a bias towards their manager's opinion. And so when you get it from people that that you choose with their manager's approval, right? When you get it from people above you and your peers and below, it's not just one person's opinion, right? So like when I did it
Right.
delivered one recently, she's like, well, I know that came from so and so. I said, no, actually that came from multiple people.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, it's good for teams as well. So it depends if you're just doing I think personally, I think the leadership part is different than when you're looking at specific teams. So I think it's a team development tool as well as a leadership tool. But either way, you're still getting input from people around them, but the
I
360,
wasn't
the full
thinking about
circle.
team and corporate because I was gonna work on individual, but I realize now, if I want to scale down the road, I'm gonna have to. So I'm just bringing that into, I have enough clarity now to start bringing in a few more ideas from outside without it making me go tilt.
Yeah. I like this definition. It just says that it's a multi-rater feedback assessment used to provide employees comprehensive performance and culture feedback from self-evaluation as well as from those who work around them. So you can use it as, again, as leaders or teams or what have you. Okay, anyway, let's look back at what we're doing here. So this is our second group mentoring. And what I'd like to do is
It'd be good. Put lie down, Stinky.
To figure out this.
Hey. You're gonna have to go.
Ah, there we go. The sun's going down, so I'm trying to find the parts where it's not like blazing on me. I might have to go inside for the second half of when I coach.
okay. All right. So, well, so we're doing mentoring, so we don't have a lesson, but I'm going to go over, I think we went over we went over, 2, 3, and 4 last time, right? So we're going to do 5 and 6 this time, and then we'll do 7 and 8 on the last one. So let me get that up, and then I have problems with my internet all day. It's really driving me crazy.
I have it this end too. Actually,
It's just,
all week. My people have been too, all my clients.
I just see my bars go oof, and then come back up and then disappear. I'm like, what is going on? Oh, where is-
Quit it. No. No.
All right, so, this one's up. All right, it should, there, no. There you go. Okay, so we're gonna go to 5 and 6. And then I'm just gonna read this main thing, and then we'll go over the PCC markers for these. So 5 is maintains present, so fully conscious and present with the client, employing a style that is open, flexible, grounded and confident. So remains focused, observant, empathetic, and responsive to the client. Demonstrates curiosity during the coaching process. Manages one's emotions to stay present with the client. Demonstrates confidence in working with strong client emotions during the coaching process. Is comfortable working in a space of not knowing. Creates or allows space for silence, pause, or reflection. And then 6 is listens actively, so focuses on what the client is and is not saying to fully understand what is being communicated in the context of the client systems and to support client self-expression. So it considers the client's context, identity, environment, experiences, values, and beliefs to enhance understanding of what the client is communicating. Reflects or summarizes what the client communicated to ensure clarity and understanding. Recognizes and inquires when there is more to what the client is communicating. Notices, acknowledges, and explores the client's emotions, energy shifts, nonverbal cues, or other behaviors. Integrates the client's words, tone of voice, body language to determine the full meaning of what is being communicated. Notices trends in the client's behavior and emotions across sessions to discern themes and patterns. So those are the competencies. And then if we look at the PCC markers, how many do I have? Oh my gosh.
We're practicing silence.
Sorry.
It is uncomfortable. I want to help.
Everyone I'm opening up is the old one. And I have like 8 of them. Like, what is going on? Where's the new ones?
Color code them.
I mean, they're in a folder. It should be the new ones. It shouldn't be the old ones. And there should definitely not be 8 of them or whatever it is.
Got to be in the same mood when you go to look up what you filed last. Sometimes. Like, what was I thinking?
I don't even, typically I don't do my own because I need it to be a little bit more organized than I would do it. But I write it out. Like, here's what I want under here, here's what I want under there. So that folder should have all the new PCC markers on it and not old ones, which is there.
I didn't know how you would tell.
Oh, the old ones have 11.
Hmm.
And the new ones are only 8. So that's how you can tell pretty quickly.
You know, they have similar markers. So one of the things that I was talking with Holly about on Monday is that how similar therapy teaching is to coaching teaching and the competencies, and we're not taught to give advice, we're taught to answer or to ask questions. A lot of it is like the rapport is the same, unconditional positive regard, a lot of the ethics, like it's so similar that I'm struggling to tell the difference.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's real easy for me to slip into the other role though.
Well, so what's the difference that you're seeing between them?
Um, well, for example, on Monday, Allison was asking about how to not self-sabotage and the other shoe dropping. In a therapy appointment, I would talk about the shoe dropping, why it drops, where it comes from, and how to stop it.
So you're giving that information?
No, I wanted to, but I didn't. But in therapy, I would.
That's what I mean. So in therapy, you're educating?
Big part of it,
Yeah. So, we don't as
right?
coaches. So once you start feeling yourself slipping into educating, then you're stepping outside, the coaching role, and you're stepping inside therapy or consulting or mentoring. There's a lot of different roles that falls under.
I will ask them if they want to know before I tell them, though. I'll tell them what, I could, what it is that I could tell them about that, and then ask them if they would like to know. And if they say yes, then I will tell them. If they go into another soliloquy, then that's where we go.
Okay. So, I mean, it's just really not doing that, right? Just um, not taking it that one step further. And so you just have to set up little like triggers almost or not triggers, but like markers that allows you to see when you start to step out or step into that. And really, if you read through the competencies and the PCC markers, you can kind of create a little checklist just from the markers themselves, really. But here are the markers that we're looking at, PCC markers. It listens actively. The coach's questions and observations are customized by using what the coach has learned about who the client is or the client situation. The coach inquires about or explores the words the client uses. The coach inquires about or explores the client's emotions. Coach explores the client's energy shifts, nonverbal cues, or other behaviors. Coach inquires about or explores how the client currently perceives themselves or their world. Coach allows the client to complete speaking without interrupting unless there is a stated coaching purpose to do so. Coach succinctly reflects or summarizes what the client communicated to ensure the client's clarity and understanding. So a couple things about 6 is that, of course, inquires and explores means that you're asking open-ended questions. And that you're not introducing new language, that we're picking up on the client's language. That's when we're exploring the words that the client uses. So if they use terms, that could have maybe different meanings or different degrees of meanings, then you want to make sure that you're asking what their understanding of it is, right? Because you don't want to be confused. So definitely the ones that stand out are the ones you definitely want to explore. The ones, again, that can have like different degrees or different levels of meaning or understanding. And so you want to make sure that you're asking questions around that. But even just like simple terms that clients use, it's just a good idea to check in and say, and what exactly does such and such mean to you? Or how is such and such impacting you right now? Depending on the situation. Just really looking at exploring the words that they use and not bringing in our own terms, like our own language. And of course, exploring their emotions, we're talking about that throughout the whole course. How does that make you feel? What can you do with that feeling? How can you react? Where in your body are you feeling that? How does that impact such and such, that emotion? How do you handle when that emotion gets strong? Or how does that, how does that impact the rest of your day? Or how does that impact that situation, or how you handle things? Whatever it is, just exploring those emotions and the impact that it has on them and how it dictates their actions and their reactions. Lots of ways to explore emotions in every single conversation, really. And also with energy shifts, when you hear somebody that's really excited and you hear them come down, that's something that you really want to explore, because that could mean, something major shifted for them there. And so you want to create awareness around it for them, but also for you, because it's really important that we understand big shifts in the conversations that we're having. Nonverbal cues are basically body language or facial language or things along those lines. Any other behaviors that you might see. Crossing arms, crossing legs. Those are ways that clients and people close. So if you're on a subject and you see that they're getting anxious, or that they're not answering as openly as they normally do, and then you see them cross their arms or cross their legs, that's something to notice and ask about. So we were talking about such and such, and I just noticed that you crossed your arms. What do you think that's about? Just getting them to notice that something has happened, something shifted, and it's showing in some way, right? But sometimes they're not aware of that. And then definitely what they think about themselves and what they think about about the people around them, their environment. How does it shape them? How does it shape their outlook on things? And how does it shape how they respond to things? Like, perception is, it's big, it's huge, especially, as per coaches, to be able to help clients see how they're perceiving different situations, and whether it's work, home, business, whatever. So we want to keep an eye out for things that we can question when we see that there might be underlying perceptions or things that could be making things more difficult for clients, or maybe even easier, whatever the case is. And then as far as interrupting, that's that 10-second rule. It's a good thing to start to practice, and once it becomes habit, you don't have to continue to count to 10. But after the client finishes speaking, even after they answer the question, you still give another 10 seconds. And of course, you're given at least 10 seconds after you ask a question. Sometimes you're given longer, 15 seconds or something. If it's emotional, something like if the situation or the session is emotionally charged, or you see some kind of an emotional reaction going on with the client, give them more space, more than the 10 seconds. And then if they're not answering, after 10, 15 seconds or what have you, you could potentially say, do you need me to reframe that question? Or do you need a little bit more time? Like, you can ask a close-ended question just to get understanding of what they need in that moment. Or you could just say, what do you need right now? To be able to answer that question. Now, the stated purpose of interruption is, if they go on storytelling, tangents, we want to pull them back, right? We talked a little bit about storytelling. We don't need the whole story, and people feel like they have to give you the whole story. And so when they go on this long spiel and they're telling you you can gently interrupt and say, I'm sorry, let me just stop you for a second. Can I ask, what about that story specifically is tied to the conversation that we're having today? Let them break it down and pull out what is relevant and leave the rest, right? So we don't need this backstory. And sometimes you have to be firm with clients and just say, I don't really need the backstory. Like, what specifically do you think from that is going to be relevant for our conversation today? And if you want to explain that ahead of time, that's something that you might explain when you onboard clients, that if you feel like we're getting off topic, and this is what I would typically say to somebody, is like, if I feel like we're getting off topic, or that, we're going in a different direction, or we're adding too much to the conversation, I might break in and ask you a question to focus you back in on our topic for that conversation. And people are fine with that. There's no problem with it. But that's the stated coaching purpose of doing so. And then, of course, succinctly reflects or summarizes. Now, what this means is that you're not doing the laundry list, right? You're not saying, oh, this is what I heard, 1 through 2,700 things that you just heard. No, we are consolidating, and it's the spirit of things that we are reflecting back, right? The meaning, or the spirit, or the gist of it. Because otherwise you'll spend a ton of time reflecting back everything that you've heard. And not all of it's going to be relevant, number one. But number two, they don't need to hear that back. As long as you're using the terms that they understand, that you've already just, discovered, if you've had to have some discovery around it. It's the heart of the matter, right? That's what you're reflecting back, the heart of what you heard. And any question that you might have on it, or questioning back to the client on what you've heard. But we're not doing that laundry list of reflecting back, of summarizing. And so with that in mind, you only have to do it a couple times in your conversation. My suggestion is always like halfway through, and maybe 10 minutes before your close. Now, there is another rule, another school of thought, and that is that you stop and have the client reflect back, and you don't reflect back unless you're reflecting back for clarification. But about halfway through the conversation, this is like a check-in. This also checks one of the competencies, is by saying, we're about halfway through the session right now. How much progress have we made towards the outcome that you'd like? And usually the client will start to say, well, we did, we covered this, this, and this. So they're kind of summarizing what you've done already. And then they're also giving you an update on their progress at the same time. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone by having the client do that, about halfway through. And then, when you're towards the end of the conversation, just saying something like, what have you learned about yourself today? Or what have you learned about the situation? Depending on, I guess, on the topic and the outcome. But, what have you learned? What is your learning? How much progress do you feel like you've made towards, your goal? These things help the client assess and reflect. And then you're not having to do it the whole time. That doesn't mean that you don't reflect at all. I'm just kind of giving you a general thing to think about, to have co-create, right? It's about co-creating, having the client being able to participate in that. Okay, questions about that? Listens actively. Okay. 7, evokes awareness. The markers are: coach asks questions about the client, such as their current way of thinking, feelings, values, needs, wants, beliefs, or behavior. Coach asks questions to help the client explore beyond the current situation or current thinking or feeling to new or expanded ways of thinking or feeling about themselves. That's the who of the person. The coach asks questions to help the client explore beyond the client's current thinking or feeling to new or expanded ways of thinking or feeling about their situation. So the what. Coach asks questions to help the client explore beyond current thinking, feeling, or behaving toward the outcome the client desires. Coach shares with no attachment observations, intuitions, comments, thoughts, or feelings, and invites the client's exploration through verbal or tonal invitation. Coach asks clear, direct, primarily open-ended questions one at a time at a pace that allows for thinking, feeling, or reflection by the client. Coach uses language that is generally clear and concise, and coach allows the client to do most of the talking. That's your 80-20 rule. You don't have to speak 20% of the time, but you don't want to speak more than about 20% of the time. So for evokes awareness, when we hear something that may be of value, something that the client is, backing up with, some kind of a deep commitment, or kind of alludes to wanting to have like a deep commitment or follow through or what have you, that might be value-based, right? And so being able to ask a question around, well, what is the value there? Like what do you value about that relationship, or what do you value about that interaction that you had? Because people nowadays, a lot of times anyway, people have difficulty discerning what their values are. Coaching is a perfect way to help people with values. And in fact, a lot of life coaches do just value work, goals and values. That's a big thing. And helping people to,
Not just life coaches. I mean, my whole thing is value.
well,
Yes.
yeah, not just life coaches, but typically life coaches, that's their focus. Like they just do value work, like your life vision, your values from that vision. We do it in recovery coaching as well, but on Recovery Nation. But yeah, every kind of coaching should include values. Like I said, it helps people shape their, their philosophies, their belief systems, their behavior, right? Because if somebody maybe has a reaction to something and they're not happy with themselves that they had a reaction, that was how they reacted, then when you ask around, questions around the values that they have that makes that unacceptable to themselves, then they're able to identify it better. And that helps them to grow in that area, right? And maybe not repeat those things, or at least work towards it. What does that say about? That's my rant. Right. Ooh. What in the world? Can you see that?
8-1.
No, my whole screen just went to something to do with my memory. Anyway,
That's how my
okay.
feel.
Okay, so and then asking questions about things that help them identify the who, like who they are at work, who they are at home, who they are in social situations, who they are when nobody's around, right? So that involves how they feel about things, how they think about things, their philosophies, opening up their mind to different situations. And then also asking questions about the what. So that's another way of saying, you're exploring the outcome that the client wants from a perspective of usually not an emotional piece. It's more of a practical, is what I want to say. Practical things around the what versus the who, which can be emotional and practical, but typically there's more of an emotional component to it. What else? Oh, and then also sharing your observations. So it's okay to share, an observation, something that you can say something like, when you were explaining such and such, I noticed yada yada. What are your thoughts? How does that make you feel? How do you feel about that? Whatever you make an observation or share a thought or a feeling, you then have to bring it to the client. So you don't just make observations or make statements, right? So you make an observation and then you check it with the client, because it's up to them whether they take it on or not. And so you have to give them that option by asking the question of, how does that resonate with you? Does that resonate with you? What about that? What about me saying that stands out for you? Or, how does that make you feel? Whatever it is, but just checking in with the client after you've made the statement, the observation, or the comment, or the thought, or the feeling. And of course, open-ended questions one at a time. Don't stack your questions. Don't rapid fire, right? Ask one question. You're given that space, that 10 to 15 seconds for them to answer. After they answer, another 10 seconds. That should slow the conversation down enough that they don't feel like they're being, fired questions. And then, there's not a specific percentage for open-ended versus closed-ended questions, but I mean, a good way to kind of think of it would be like 90% of your questions should be open-ended and about 10% can be closed. And that 10% that are closed are typically like the check-in questions, checking in with the client where they are now, or reflecting back when you reflect back something, asking them if they agree with it or something like that. Those are typically going to be your closed-ended. So about 90% of your questions you want to be open-ended. And then if you find yourself being convoluted in a question, stop. Don't keep going and try to fix it in the same breath because you're just going to compound it. You just stop, take a breath and say, I just need a second. I'm trying to formulate this question in my head. And people are people, they're going to understand that. So take that break and then ask the question. Don't compound it, because if it's confusing to start with and you're trying to fix it while you're still speaking and thinking about it, it's just not going to work. So just take that break, stop, take a deep breath, regroup, and then ask the question. Yeah, those are my tips for evokes awareness. Questions about that?
For
All right.
me, question asking when you kind of lose your place in it or you haven't got it formulated. I think out loud. Hearing what I want to say sometimes helps me get clear on my thinking. And I haven't figured out a strategy to replace that so that it's not coming out, so the client's not hearing it.
Yeah.
Because I'll get part way out and then I'll realize, no, that's not the way I want it to go. And then I'll weigh something and then I'll come back with what it is that I actually want to ask. But it happens usually outside my head, not inside.
Yeah, well, sometimes if you ask the question and you feel like that wasn't the right question, then you have to just wait it out. Wait for the client to try to answer it and then ask it after. And that might help you to not
Well, I
verbalize it
will
if you're
say,
just stopped.
hang on, I'm trying to formulate. That's not quite where, like, I'll let them know that I'm in a process so that they're not hanging, wondering why I'm, doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're not changing everything about what you do. You've been in business helping clients. And so you're not trying to reinvent the whole thing, like the whole wheel, but
Right.
just adjust it so that it's coaching and not therapy. And some of these other things will just work themselves out. They're just like little bugs that will work themselves out.
Mhm.
So in other words, just don't stress about it.
That's where I think that's what trips me up. Either I'm too hungry, I'm too nervous, or I'm too tired. I'm figuring out those are the things that will cause me to stumble in this, because the struggle that I'm having is the clarity of the question that I want to ask. In my head, I know it. As soon as I go to try to ask it, it falls out.
Yeah,
And I don't know
that will
what's
actually
behind.
get better.
Does
But
anybody
that's
do
confidence.
that? Like,
Yes,
is
that's
that
a confidence. That's a confidence thing.
okay?
It's confidence.
Okay.
So as you practice more, that'll get better, just automatically.
I thought
Yeah.
maybe there was something wrong with me or something. I've been trying to figure out what's behind that.
No, it's just confidence. That's all it is.
I was gonna blame menopause, but okay.
Well, that doesn't help either.
Yeah, it doesn't help. All right. All right. So then we are ready for our coaching session. And Allison, you're going to be coaching Bonnie, and I will,
Oh, we do that right now, not after the break?
oh, we'll do it after the break. Yeah, so we'll have a break now. We probably won't be here till 8:30. Probably 8-ish, but, yeah, let's just take a break now. We'll take like 13 minutes since it's 6:57. We'll just go to 7:10 and then we'll come back and do the
Yeah,
coaching.
I'm gonna switch into inside because the sun's gonna be in my face, so I need to get to a stable.
Yep,
place.
all right, I'll see you back here 7:10. Thanks.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. I'm just closing everything out here. So nothing will pop up on me. So the downside of the executive coaching, like when you have a contract like this, is I haven't met the people. I'm just coaching them, right? The first two I got to meet, these five. And so you have this, situation where it's like a forced intimacy, right? Versus,
Yeah.
creating the client. So that's the only difference really is that, but I really like when people invest in themselves because they really do show up.
Absolutely.
But I'm just happy to not have to worry about paying my bills every month and taking more out of my retirement.
There you go.
Just finally, after all that happened to me, finally back to,
Nice.
yeah, so that's worth celebrating.
It is.
I've been through a lot and I've come back even better.
Okay. All right. So, Allison, you're gonna have 30 minutes, and it's just almost 7:15, so we'll just say 7:45, and I will go off, and we'll come back and discuss it afterwards.
Sounds good.
You have the floor.
So Bonnie, how you doing?
Well, I think the theme of the day is angst, but it's not the same. It's not like abusive husband angst. It's now I have a little bit of room to focus on just life angst and work angst. And so I'm trying to get to the bottom of I got a tug of war business wise going on inside that I'm having a hard time untangling. So figuring out my niche has been really hard because I'm an artist first and foremost. And I got into therapy because I was teaching art and people kept getting triggered and going into trauma mode. So I found that I was counseling them and I thought, well, maybe I should learn how to do this. And so that's how I got into therapy. I burned out really bad because I was not, I think, well enough healed. So there's and I'm narrative. So their stories were horrific. In fact, it changed my worldview, actually, made me pretty angry for a long time. If you said, here's $1,000,000, figure out how to torture somebody, I couldn't have come up with what I heard. And I can't even repeat a lot of it. So a lot of it remains untold. So I'm torn with this idea that I need to limit my therapeutic hours and I think that includes coaching to 12 hours. So I can do no more than 4 a day. I need an hour in between. So I do 2, then a space, then 2. And I do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which leaves me Thursday and Friday, Saturday, Sunday to be an artist and recoup. So I need money. So I am counseling for less money through a company that does insurance but brings me clients. I just started getting my first phone calls for private practice, which would be full fee. But now my slate is full. All of a sudden, I got 10 new clients, like suddenly, and now my 12 hours is full. And I don't know how I feel about that because I have this dream also about doing something evergreen and some passive income and those kinds of things. And I'm well aware that I complicate everything. So in the midst of all of that is imposter syndrome. So part of what's making me tired is coming away from sessions feeling like I could have done better. And so I want to make money. I want to offer a good service. I want to not get burnt out. So I want to be sustainable. And I don't know how to blend the two worlds of what will ultimately, I hope, be coaching and the creativity side. Because I make stuff all the time. That's first and foremost who I am. The counseling and now coaching came after the fact as a way to earn money. And then it became creative because I love, like I looked up the positive intelligence, which set me off on another path today because my website is all about making good decisions. And then what that website made me realize is I was half baked. Oh, fine, good decisions, but then to do what? Right? It's not enough to make a good decision. You got to act. So now I'm off on this other tangent and I feel like I'm going in 15 different directions and not progressing, except that now my schedule's full. And how the heck did that happen? So now I got imposter syndrome. I just used to chaos this last year that I got to create more. I don't know. I am afraid of the other shoe dropping. I'm not am I afraid of sabotage? I know what's behind it. And I know it does it. And think I solved it. But burnout would be another reason to crash and burn. So anyway, angst, too many directions. I feel like I'm knitting a sweater right now that is sometimes 4 colors in one row. So it's not what considered Fair Isle is 2 colors, of 4. And it makes a tangled mess on the back. That's exactly how I feel at the moment.
Well, I feel that tangled mess. Take a breath. Yeah, good deep breath there. So there's a lot of tangents, as you mentioned. For our time, is there one specific tangent that we could maybe unravel from the back of that sweater that would get you in a forward motion or wherever you want to go?
So of the things I listed, the image that's coming forward is the picture of my 12 hours. And I looked at adding Thursday, I looked at going into the evenings, and then I remembered something from a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And the idea was to ask for what I want. Can I make more than a bare minimum income on my 12 hours, my 12 slots, no evenings, no weekends, because that's what I want. So it was a struggle to ask for what I want. Then it was what comes up for me and why is it not satisfactory is because I think, well, the maximum 1-to-1 rate I can get for those 12 spots is $200.
So before we go deeper into that story, I want to make sure that we have a goal that we're working towards here, right? And so
Right.
what do we want to accomplish with this time? What would make this time worth your time?
I need to know whether I can work with the 12 hours, which feels manageable, or whether that's going to limit my income to the point where I need to alter my plan. So can I work with those 12 hours? Can I take those 12 hours and use them in a way that allows me to scale and do other things pay off my house quicker and things like that? Or do I need to add another day? Or do I need to do something totally different so I'm not burning out? I don't know enough about coaching formally, to know what other people are doing.
So what I'm
So
hearing, sorry,
go ahead.
what I'm hearing is that you want to figure out the structure of what you can and can't do with these 12 hours. What would you like to have at the end of this call to assist you with that?
Well, either I have an idea to work with my 12 hours, or I have to rework the schedule somehow to accommodate more hours. And then, what follows that would probably open up a whole other session. So I suppose at this point it's like, can I work with the 12 hours, or do I need to make more? I feel like my perspective is really it's too narrow, because it comes from counseling. You do one-on-one. That's how I see. But other people don't do that. They do other things within their time blocks that make more money rather than one-on-one. And the other is, I get really burnt out with one-on-one. When it's group or something like that, which is less intimate, I don't have as much feeling exchange, which isn't as tiring. But I don't know if I'm being realistic. I don't know if I'm being entitled. I don't know if 12 hours is ridiculous. I just don't know where I stand.
So how will we know at the end of this call that we've addressed that? What are we looking for?
Well, I'll know whether or not I can work with my 12, or I gotta figure out where more is coming from. Because I'm also coming out of something, and I'm coming out of being broke, and my savings structure has completely changed. And being in America, I no longer have a retirement plan. So now my new plan has to do more than just pay the current bills. I have to start thinking long term. And I'm also 55. How long do I want to do this? I'm too chicken to just be an artist. Um, I don't I don't I don't believe my issue is like an invisible ceiling on my income. I did some work. I can see my bank balance up to about $450,000 before I start getting like, it's ridiculous. I'm nowhere near there. I've got about 446,000 to go. But so that is not that. I don't have enough ideas for what to do with my 12 slots to make it do all the stuff it's got to do beyond one-to-one and the limit to that. Right? I'm capped at just under 10 grand at that level. So
But what I'm hearing is two things. One is, what can I, is it, is 12 hours the right number? And then the second thing I hear is, what can I do to maximize those 12 hours?
yes, that's much clearer than I had in my head. Right.
So are we trying to figure out, is 12 hours the number, or optimizing those 12 hours the best I can? What's first in your brain?
I'd love to be able to optimize the 12 hours, because I don't want to have to add to it, because my limited scope idea is right now, if I do the 12 hours on the coaching business, then I have the rest of the time to go be an artist. They're very separate, but I wonder if that's not blinders. This idea of problem solving or iteration thinking is new to me. I'm a very much baby in the bathwater. like just scrap the whole idea, realize now that's actually a shortfall on my part because I waste a lot of learning and a lot of time because I'm always starting over. So I'm trying to not baby with the bathwater and think iterations. And I don't have enough iterations on my 12 hours. It feels like I need to write a program. And I mean, that's like a year of work. It isn't. I don't know. The knowledge is on the top of my head. I just don't know how to, I'm spinning my wheels basically.
Yeah, I can feel that. What does spinning your wheels feel like in your body?
I keep losing my train of thought. I'll get out a piece of paper, start writing, can't remember what I was writing about, what my point was, where this was going. So then I resort to drawing picture. It just is false starts, false starts. This last year has been very survival oriented. And now all of a sudden I have a little bit of room to really focus on what's next. And it's almost like my foot was on the gas before the wheels hit the road. So I'm already spinning by the time I start because it was pent up. Right. And I feel like I'm never gonna get it. I feel like I said the imposter syndrome. I feel like I need more ideas. I feel like, well, maybe I'm making it too complicated. But I can't stay on any one of these to find like to get to a conclusion. So, like I said, like, what is my next move? Well, I got my website up. That was my next move a few weeks ago. Now it's up. It's minimally there. It's set up for one-to-one. Great. If I can fill my 12 slots, I know what my income is. Big picture though, single income, taxes. I need to triple that if I can. So how do I get from 150 an hour to 300 an hour with the same 12 slots? And can I? Am I being pie in the sky? Am I not being realistic? Is that totally doable? Depends on who you talk to. Some people go, oh no, you can expect to make 20 grand a year as a coach. And then I talk to other people and they're like, oh no, I'm making $1.5 million. I'm like, what am I missing in there? So anyway, yes, pillar to post, spinning my wheels, tangled, tangled yarn. What does it feel like? It's exhausting. I can't sleep.
I'm sorry to hear that. So you've given a lot of reasons, but why is it important to address this now?
Because I'm overcoming something really big. Something I haven't done before for any length of time, which is lock, stock, and barrel supporting myself. When I started this divorce journey with $5, the biggest thing was I needed to end up somewhere to live. Because that was the threat. That was the first place that my head went. And the number two thing was, how am I ever going to do that? Was dependent on him. Now I'm dependent on me and I'm not capable. I was sure of it. Well, at the time, I didn't have ideas because it was all new. And my friend said, wait it out. New ideas will come. And I didn't believe, and I didn't believe, and then they showed up. I could get some training. I could change directions a little bit. I could tweak. I found my mojo in counseling again. It's started to develop. And now I've come far enough in it. I think the answer is yes, that I can support myself. I'm scared. And I don't want to screw it up. And I don't want to get burnt out. And I want to be an artist too. It's super important to me because that's who I am. And I don't work in one medium. Everybody says, you got to focus. No, I don't. Not at all. And if I want to go back to school when I'm 80, I will. If I decide midstream I want to be a horse veterinarian, that's what I'll do. But okay, so what has tripped me up in the past? Burnout, but also abandoning the baby. Baby with the bathwater, just complete change, start over, and not sticking to one thing. I didn't even know about thinking in iterations. Right? So when I got burnt out, I quit. I didn't modify it, cut it back, hire people, get an assistant, go on. I didn't. Now I know of like 20 things I could do. But then I just quit and then started something else. And then when I came here, I started something else. Now I'm back to where I started. And I'm like, all right, how do I make it work this time? And I was listening to a gal on Thinking, and she was talking about when she does business coaching, and it's a revenue question. How do I make more revenue and how do I make more income? Well, you only have 4 things, right? You've got how many you're selling and at what price, and then what you're bringing in relative to what it's costing you to do. Okay, so that reduced it down a little bit. So in that mix, I'm looking at, all right, I want to increase my revenue per 12 squares. And that's about as far as I got. And then I abandoned the idea because it's overwhelming. And like I said, when I go and I ask other people, it's everything from 20 grand a year to $1.5 million. Like it's so right. And then I got to, well, am I missing out on the business coaching? Shouldn't I be having good sales before I go coach in business? Right? Like I'm just figuring out SEO. Do I need to? So I'm piling on and piling on and piling on and trying to be more, do more, solve more. I got this other shoe dropping piece going on that I'm watching. And then the whole never really completely supported myself before. Can't screw this up. The cold sweats have stopped. I feel like I can. I still don't fully know what it looks like. So I don't know what my next step is. I want to do more with my 12 spots. I want to do well by people in those 12 spots. I just don't quite know what to put in them. And right now, the counseling that I get is through a company that does insurance, covers insurance. So my 12 spots are now suddenly filled up with low paying clientele. It's going to pay the bills. But then there's no room for private clients. So I feel like my head's up my butt. I just keep cycling through and coming back to the same spot. So I must be avoiding something.
Well, that goes to my next question then. What do you need to address to get off the Ferris and spinning, to shut out all the ideas and move forward for yourself? So what do you need to address to be able to?
I feel like I need to talk to other people that have done it. Like I said, when I research and I don't get to talk directly to people, it's their blogs or whatever. Everybody's got this. There was one blog that I read, and she was irritated by all these people that are putting out those coaching programs, 7 figures a year, 6 figures a year, and not being realistic about the work that it takes and the cost and the energy and everything else, and not wanting to standing out by being quiet was the point. And so I do not know whether 20 grand or 1,500,000 or somewhere in between. 20 won't cut it. IRS takes that no matter what I do. Right? Realistically, I need to be over 10 to be even remotely safe. And with my disability too, like I pain manage. 12 hours is almost my max, and I feel like I'm being a suck at that level. So I can't, I need some reality. I feel like I need some reality, and I don't know where to find it.
One of the things I'm feeling is there's so much pressure on yourself to figure it out and to know what it's going to be. And it feels really heavy to me. How does that pressure show up for you? Or do you feel that pressure?
Yes, I do feel it, and it'll read to others as intensity, which will undermine my therapeutic relationship. The pressure causes me to miss things. I can focus on what people are saying well enough, but the insight piece gets lost because it's fragile compared to the other stuff. You know, I can follow along stories in that, but when you gotta, the art component where you really gotta, what separates you as a professional from a newbie or, you know, any other type of question, or a relationship, I mean, it squeezes that out. And I don't want this intensity. I don't want to feel this scared all the time. Like I said, the cold sweats are stopping, but there's still that, you know, overwhelming, and I need to come up with a realistic plan that makes sure I don't burn out. I want it to work as a single person. I don't want to have to depend on somebody else. I don't want to rent out a room. So I know what I don't want. Oh, what is it that's coming up for me is the tug of war is, do I get what I want, or do I have to compromise? It's not even so much to do with the 12 spots. It's like, there's an element of, do I deserve? So filling the 12 spots, figuring out how to fill the 12 spots, it's all beyond where I've been before. So the intensity is the feeling of, this is new.
Mhm.
Right? And it's a good problem to have. I just don't want to do my usual and throw it. Because I can't, this feeling isn't comfortable for me, and I'll end it however I can figure out how to end it.
Well, first I want to acknowledge you've been through so much. And I just think that it's pretty impressive with everything you've been through, that you are looking at forging this new path and this independence. And I believe in you and your ability to do it. I think you're brilliant. And I think when you figure out how to package yourself, there's no stopping you. So what It's all, and there's noises everywhere. Everyone's gonna tell you how to do the coaching. What voice, what support do you need to figure this out?
I do better with a tether. So some sort of mentorship of some kind, even if it's short term, just so a reality, I need a reality check. Like, I'm a visionary and I can create an image for something beyond spectacular, but then rubber meeting road, like the idea of timelining something or creating a direct path, like even as simple as, okay, I need this much per month. I can fetch this much per hour. How many hours do I need to do? Like that concept is kind of new. I usually just go for it. When I started my counseling practice, I didn't sit down and figure out how many clients I wanted. I hung a shingle, rented an office, and off I went. So I didn't know if I had enough or too much. I didn't, I I spent too much on some things and not enough on others. I said, well, I can't afford to hire somebody. I totally could have. Hindsight, right? So I can't afford hindsight. An interesting question has come up this week of, what is it costing you to not fill in the blank? Huge. Like that question is really stuck with me this week. I need to tether somewhere. I need some help to make the vision, which is huge, a little more practical in figuring out, where to hire help and because that's one idea for getting more in my 12 little slots. I wouldn't know where to begin. So the business side of it, I'm not it's not totally new to me, but it's definitely, I need more support and I don't have time to learn it. It would be faster to hire somebody, I think. But I think I need that.
So when you say
I'm
a
gonna have
tether,
to. I don't know where it's coming from. Go ahead.
what does a tether specifically look like to you?
Um, just somebody to help me stay in the lines a little bit because I am, like I said, I'm total visionary. Um, at 55 years of age, I still believe in my fantasies, which they're not childish or childlike, but they're way too big and complex. And I actually believe they can happen. Until somebody comes along and then puts me back in reality. Like I said, here I am thinking I can do this, and then somebody's going, "Yeah, you can expect to earn 20,000 a year as a coach," and I'm like, "Why? Why would I coach then? That doesn't cover my supplies."
So one of the things a lot of energy is being put into money time slot, money time slot. If you took money and time slots again and you just said, this is the gift and this is how I can be in service and help people, what is that?
Yeah, I would have an open studio, uh, building self-esteem through art, which is nothing like what I've built to make an income. But that's also not going to bring me $1.5 million. I want to make $1 million just once at least.
So I saw your face shift when you talked about art for self-esteem. And I felt like a light come from you. Tell me what did you feel when you mentioned that?
Well, that's what I'm here for. But my strong impression is that art really, it's a lottery system. I just don't know how to make it practical. If if money wasn't an object, I could. If I had enough money to hire a team, I could do it. I don't know how to stop being consumed with the immediate practical and go into the visionary where I'm hiring other people that already know what I don't know, that are ready to go, that I could commission them into what needs to be done. I just don't know how to get from here to there. I'm stuck with this hourly thing, knowing full well that time, like by the hour, is super limiting. What jazzes me is to focus on the people and the self-esteem and the art stuff. I don't want to deal with any of this practical crap. That's not my thing. Other people love it. I met a tax person recently. She loves it. I'm like, I didn't say to her, I think you need mental help. How could you anybody love? She just loves it. And I'm like, go hard. You're a blessing.
So what I'm
Right?
hearing
So
is, sorry.
no, go ahead.
So what I'm hearing is a tether is someone to help do the things you don't know how or don't like to do. Did I phrase that correctly?
Yeah. Yeah.
So as we're moving through this call, is there any new learnings that you've had yourself as a result of our conversation so far?
Well, I think my 12-hour one-to-one is clearly a temporary stopgap measure. I think it's a stepping stone that probably shouldn't last for very long. And I need to get some assistance to assemble a team, because I have at least 6 books worth of material and modules that I want to translate into an evergreen program. That's my dream. I don't know how to get there. It's such a big leap. And the only experience I have is this last year where I started with $5 and no clue to looks like I might be moving into my own home at the end of the November. I would not have bet on that.
Mhm.
Right? So I feel like it will get resolved. I just right now I don't know how. But I know I need more people.
I love your vision and I love your dream. And I love the visualization of it all. If we had to break it into like a crawl, walk, run strategy, and that it would take time to get to where you want to get to, what does crawl mean to you right now?
Crawl means working with my 12 spots and not expanding that, shrinking to fit into that, because I don't want to suck up my other time, which I need for the next step, which would be I need to find someone to work with and help me strategize business wise. I don't have time to learn everything, so I want consulting. I want to hear answers because it's just faster. And then ultimately I want a team. I need a team of people. There's no way I can do this by myself. And if I went to my grave with what I know inside of me, I mean, that would be the one of my biggest regrets. Somehow or another, what I know needs to get out because it would make a difference for people. And I'm fed up with unnecessary suffering. Suffering is suffering, but unnecessary suffering is stupid.
I felt that in my heart when you said that. I know that came from your heart. So how are you, now that you know you need help, how are you going to apply this? What are you going to, how are you going to, now that you have this awareness, what's your next step?
Shopping, I guess.
I'm sorry, I
Shopping.
didn't hear you.
I don't, I need to shop. I don't even know what type of professional I need for this. I don't think it's life coaching. I think it's more I don't know. I don't know who knows what. I have to find somebody who knows something about this. And I have a small world. My world is tiny. I have basically my house and a handful of friends and my sons, and that's about it. So that's part of the problem.
So what resources are you going to use to try to find this person?
Well, I haven't been able to dive into the business course that comes with the EQ course yet to know if my answers are in there because I haven't been able to log in yet. So that's something simple that I could solve. Just figure out how to log in there and go see. Maybe the answer's already there. So I'll start with that because that's something I can do. And then I don't know. I need to see what the answer to that is.
Okay, it's a good start. And then what accountability are you going to have to make sure that you log in and you see if that is part of the solution?
My friend Christine, who's also starting her business, she's just finishing up a contract and she should be done next week. So I'm just giving her the space to do that. And that's all the space she can have after that. I need her back.
You've mentioned her before, so she sounds like a great
Yeah.
friend, a great resource to have.
Yeah, she's like my sister. So yeah, I'm giving her the space to do her contract. I know when it ends, and that's that.
Well, that's great. I want to just tell you again, I think that you have a beautiful vision of what you want to do. And I can tell it comes from your heart and that you really want to help people. And so I know you'll figure it out. I know there's a lot of new things going, but I think your intellect is amazing, your heart is amazing, and I know you're going to figure it out.
These people. Sorry. Ugh.
Is there anything
Thank
else?
you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you need before we close the session?
No, no. I just need to stay on where I'm ending, right? I need to stay on that task and not abandon it and start something new or a new line of research or a new whatever and just pile on more stuff. I need to finish that train of thought. And breathe.
Okay, well, with that, we'll close the session for now.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both. Allison, how do you feel about that session?
It was tough because I was trying not to interrupt, but I was also, trying to but there was a lot of verbal processing going on. And there were so many different tangents to go on, right? This thing about the 12 slots, right? The $1 million, the throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There was so much different ways to go deeper, but there was no space for me to be part of that in a way. It was really, and so I was trying to trying to just be present and, just keep some guardrails on her. But it was, I don't know if I did, if I was coaching much in that call as much as along for the ride.
Yeah, so I agree with that. So what do you think, kind of looking back on it, what do you think is something that you could potentially do in a situation like that that could help you have the client focus in?
Well, I think now that I've coached her enough, like I even just said, how are you? Not even ready to get into coaching, and she just took off, right? I didn't even get to the question of what specifically do you want to focus on today? And so I think that I would have to almost be a little more close-ended, not close-ended, finite at the beginning, right? That, and try to set that framework a little more upfront and just define it to her, say, in this 30 minutes that we have, if we can address one thing that would shift you forward, what would that be? And just say it that way and be very definitive, because once the horse was out of the gate, it was just, I didn't know how to pull it back in without interrupting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think you said how are you doing, and it was about 6 minutes of Bonnie talking. So here's one thing for both of you. You don't have to ask your clients how they're doing.
No, I know.
It's,
I was just.
Dangerous question.
I'm just
Well,
saying,
yeah.
Question.
it's a question that can lead to stories, right? To
Yeah. And that was just the point. That was just kind of like, hi, you ready to get going, right? It wasn't intention to be anything more than that. I think, but I think that trying to, if this was a real session and my client, I would have intruded before we got, first off, this is very different than what I typically coach, but I would have intruded, and I wasn't intruding because I'm trying to, be the markers and do all that, but I probably would have intruded on all of that and just saying, wow, there's a lot, we're going a lot of tangents. I would like to slow down for a second. I would have intruded. I
Right.
didn't intrude here because I'm trying not to interrupt and saying, but it was like, I really didn't know where to go.
Right.
Because even when I brought a question out, it went in 6 different directions. And so it was just, this was hard. I would say that I would give me on a scale of 1 to 10 a 2 on my coaching on this call.
I don't know if I'd give it a 2, but I think that sometimes there's a management piece, right? And remember when I said earlier that you have permission to interrupt your clients if they're storytelling, right?
I
Or if they're going
know.
on.
I was really struggling on that.
Yeah. So here, let me finish. This is the way you could have done it, right? So I know it feels like I don't want to interrupt, like it feels like we're rude. We're being rude, right? To interrupt clients. But you have to think the bigger picture is by not interrupting and focusing them back, then you get to the end of the session and what do you have? Right? So the client is not benefiting from that, from letting
No,
them talk.
no, nope, I
So,
know.
so one thing, again, I rarely say, I don't want to say rarely, but my whole thing isn't saying how are you at the beginning of the session, right?
I didn't think that was going to just be like a
No,
gun
I
going
know.
off. I got caught way off guard on that one. Yeah.
I'm just going through the whole
Yeah.
the order of the call. But also if I said how are you doing and a client happened to keep going, I would break in. I would say, I'm so glad to hear that you're doing well, but for sake of time, let's switch over to, what do you want to talk about on today's call? And then, and again, it might be an interruption, but it's for the client's benefit and it's not for our benefit.
Yeah.
And then so then you asked about, if there was one tangent that you could focus on. And you said something else after. It was like, and I wrote, keep it simple for that. Meaning, instead of doing all the explanation afterwards, just say, what's one thing out of everything that you just mentioned that we can focus in on? Or what is the most important is really the better question.
Yeah,
What is the most important thing out of everything that you've just told me that you want to focus in on? And then you say, what would you like to have that would help you, yada, 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 yada. Again, keep it simple. Out of that one area that you want to focus on, the priority, the most important part, what's going to be the most beneficial for you to have by the end of the conversation for that? You ask great questions. What would make it worth your time? You asked, how will you know by the end of the call that you have that? So those are, why is it important to address this now? Those are the perfect questions to do at the beginning, right? And hopefully those are narrowing down and getting rid of all the extras. But I think, like you said, there was just too many things that were getting focused in on. And then there was the storytelling piece, right? So Bonnie's a storyteller, so she starts the storytelling, and you want to be able to break in and say, Just like a basic question of, I'm gonna break in right now, right quickly because, on your language, but I want to break in real quick because, um, for sake of time and being focused and getting to the outcome that you want, what about that story is
Yeah.
100% relevant to the focus and the outcome that you're working towards today?
Yeah, I think I was so focused on the don't interrupt marker that I wasn't doing that, and I should have done that, and because I have no problem doing it with my clients all the time. And sometimes I don't even know I do it. I'm doing it, right? I just kind of like get cut in there and be like, and what's really important about that? And just like get into that without them even knowing it. I think I was like, I gotta do the marker, right?
Yeah.
And then I want to help her. And there's also a voice inside of me that's like, all you have to do is talk to Cheryl. This is what she does all day. She helps coaches launch her thing, right? I mean, you got the person right
That's
here.
exactly it.
And
I was saying the same thing in my head.
yeah, you just need to talk to Cheryl.
I
Because
can hear both of you.
I know, but I'm like, this is what Cheryl does. One of her gifts is she helps coaches launch their business. And so I'm like, I'm sitting there like, I could save you a lot of time and just set up a one-on-one with Cheryl to talk about that much of her business
Yeah.
because she's someone that I trust and is authentic and isn't one of these hucksters, right, out there that's just like trying to do the pyramid of coaches helping coaches become coaches, build their business, right? Coaches who coach coaches help coach, So I was just like that was in my head the whole time, is like, just talk to Cheryl about this, set up a time to talk about how she can help you because she's really good at it, And so when she said to log into the portal, there was inside of me going, yes, because I want to help
I
her.
could hear you both. I know you weren't saying it, but I can still hear you. And I'm like, well, there is the portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
felt
would
this.
definitely,
We're both throwing that out there. The energy is like there's a real
Not at
and
all
that
subtle.
yeah, there's a good basis in that portal. And then yeah, we can always have a strategy session, to discuss other things or to even discuss what you see in the portal. But yes, we can definitely do that stuff. But yeah, I mean, but you did well as far as just asking the questions and not making any suggestions. I liked your question of, what support do you need to figure this out, which kind of led to the, needing an expert or a consultant, I think she said. Or tether she started with, and then she said a consultant. You asked what does a tether look like to you? Great question. So you're asking great questions, all open-ended. What did you feel when you said that? That was a great question that you asked. And then you asked about new learnings. What resources are you going to draw on to figure this out? So again, you asked some really powerful questions. It really was the management piece. And, and then that's really keeping the client on target and interrupting if you have to. And then technically speaking, you had, I would reflect back the agreement. I didn't hear you reflect it back. So just
I
so
didn't
you
know.
can,
I'm still trying to figure out what it was.
right.
It was moving. It was moving because then I went back again, and I'm like, okay. You said it was about the. Is it about how you is it about the 12 hours or how you use them? I mean, like, So I was still struggling to feel like because there were so many potential other topics. Is the topic is I want to make money. Is the topic is I need to manage my time and energy. Is the topic is I want to make $1 million, which was a whole nother thing. I could have gone,
Right.
I like this $1 million thing. Like, what is it? There was so much. And then there's a big part of me that's like, how do we get you to, like, that's why I went to the crawl, walk, run piece, right? It's like, how do
Yeah.
I slow her down and break this into steps? How do we,
Well, now I
Well,
want
I
to talk
think,
about the $1 million piece.
yeah.
but I
I
think,
stayed
I
on that the
think,
whole time.
okay, hang on. So I think right from the beginning, the first thing that was said was to figure out if she can do everything in that 12 slots or if she has to expand it and find other times, right? So that was the first one before all the other stuff was kind of added into it. So the management piece is to say, once you hear all those other things coming into play, okay, but our focus today is to figure out those 12 hours, yada, yada, yada. Is that correct? Is that still the focus? Like at
Yeah,
that point, you can ask, do we need to change the agreement or whatever, right? But but part would have helped, might have helped. I shouldn't say what would have helped. What might have helped is reflecting back that agreement, because when you reflect back that agreement, the client then hears it, right?
Yeah.
And it could cut a lot of the other noise that's going on in their brain that comes out their mouth.
Can I,
There's a
so can
lot
I
of
tell you, can I
noise.
tell you what's in my head right now is that a piece of me is like, I really want Cheryl to see me do a really good, so, because I'm a good coach, you know, and I just, this has been just a very different type
I
of,
know you're a good coach. I've already seen your good coaching before, so it's not like I haven't seen you coach
I
well.
know, but I was like, I know. I'm gonna
But
get you a kick,
also,
I'm gonna get you a kick-ass recording, damn it. Yeah,
there you go.
but I will say that,
Um,
so I do have a cheat sheet on my desk, because in the past I was looking at the metrics and it was just a reminder to me. So I always forget the fourth question on the contract, what do you need to address? That's the one I always
Yep.
forget. And then I had my little closing, the new learning self topic apply. So I just made myself a little cheat sheet for the opening and the closing. Cause I was,
That's
and then put
perfect.
everything else away. Because I
Yeah.
just need to do what I do, which is coach.
Yep.
But just so I have my little like a little one page thing that's like, just to remind me how to open and close it properly.
And that was perfect. You actually you did both of those really well. I like the question, and in between your questions were great too. We just need to, you know, just need to work on the management piece. And again, you know, it could be, um, you know, just the client, right? Coaching Bonnie. Bonnie's a talker. Bonnie coaches you, you're a talker. These things play into it. That's just the bottom line. um, but we're gonna have clients that are like that sometimes. And so it is the management piece that we have to draw on. And that is not necessarily a core coaching skill, but it is a skill that we have to employ in our,
Yeah.
in our
And I
coaching.
think if
So
this was just a coaching session, I would have stopped it. If this was a regular coaching session, I wouldn't have, I do it, but it's funny, I do it and they don't even realize it. And I really literally just say, what's important about this? What's the learning
yeah,
here? What's the focus through all of this, right? So I will throw those questions in and they don't even realize it, that I've just stopped them, right? Because I'm redirecting them, right? I'm just, I'm becoming a bumper and I'm like, yeah. So,
I need a
yeah,
bumper.
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But
Okay.
because there was so much there to explore, right? And that's why I was like, what's the first thing you want to explore in all of these?
Yeah. And it was a great question. And then it's, again, it's just keeping them on track and letting go of
Yeah.
the other stuff. But,
But here's the thing, like, let's say, we got on that and then she kept going. Is it like, what if I had to intrude 3, 4 times in the call? I mean, at some point, does that get, I mean, at some point, if she's just, because she's working out so much stuff and goes, and it's like, and so I'm like, if I'm constantly pulling her back,
well, the
then,
other thing is, yeah, the other thing that you can do is, in this case, is you can, when a client has a whole lot of things to work through, right? Well, let me back up. So when a client first hires you and you're in that onboarding, right? You're going over what are the things that we're going to be covering in that, that you want to accomplish. And so in this case, I feel like you would have had a good list of this stuff, right? And then you would have just been pulling one piece in each session, you know, through the whole target of what she's trying to accomplish. So that could potentially take care of some of this with a real client.
Mhm.
well, yeah, plus we
Um,
would have designed the alliance, and so we would have had
yeah.
a lot of this stuff, my first session is figuring out that alliance, because I will say the self-management for me was to want to say, yes, some people make 20,000 and some people make 1 million, right? Some people, and there's a lot of stuff in between, but it depends. And then she's saying 150 or two, an hour. And I'm like, oh my God, you're way too smart to be only charging 150 an hour. My God, right? So it's like, yeah, part of me, is like to say, well, who's the, she's obviously brilliant. And
I
so
didn't know that.
yeah. But again, you have to find the right people. Again, people will
It
pay
depends on
And the client,
Yes.
my clients pay me more, because I do higher end, more successful clients. I want to help people that can't afford that, so I'm gonna set up a community. Right, but I have to market it, I have to hire someone to do the Instagram reach outs and all of that. But I'm gonna create a $97 a month community for, future leaders, future women leaders, right? And, but I might find 3 people, but if I find 300, all of a sudden I'm making, an extra 30,000 a month, right? So that's how I'm scaling myself, because I know I only wanna have, like you, I have 15 is the most active clients I wanna have at one time, one-on-one clients. That's my threshold. Well, that limits my income, right? So there was so much
Yeah.
I could have
Yeah,
shared with you,
there's,
but that
yeah,
wasn't my place to. So my hope was for you to find, like, what is that trusted resource that you can find? Because there's enough people out there that I make a game of it, and they all tell you the same thing because they all went to the same master class, right? And so when you find someone that actually coaches, has built a business, Cheryl does more than help coaches, there's I think there's like a pyramid scheme. Some people become coaches and then they coach coaches on how to build a coaching business, to coach coaches, right? And so you are trying to help people with a real problem. And I think if you can get that avatar of that client that can afford more, that has a bigger problem, and you can describe that situation to you, you can make more money on your one-on-ones.
yeah, definitely. And like I said,
I don't get out of bed for 150 an hour at this point.
yeah. And
See,
well,
this is
and
what I
plus
need to know.
you've been at it longer too. So
Well, she's a therapist. She's brilliant.
right.
She's got
Yeah.
she's got experience in education that's worth paying for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so let's not get
This
into
is
that though.
what I
That's the
didn't
business side of it.
know.
Well, so here's the thing. Okay, let's go back to the coaching session and then
Okay,
just
sorry.
definitely,
Sorry.
Bonnie, we can have discussion on that stuff, right? Also, you really need to look in the portal because there's some stuff already there that it's gonna give you a lot of information. And then
The
also the training
resistance
in the,
is logging in.
well,
I can't log in.
I sent you the stuff to reset it all
That
the
was
last time.
250 emails ago. It's
Oh
way
my
down
God.
there somewhere. And that's per
All right.
weekend.
I'm gonna have
Ugh.
I'm gonna have Jess resend it to you.
Okay.
And then tomorrow. So then look on your email tomorrow and reset it so you have your login.
Okay.
Okay, back to the coaching session. Okay, so I think that the onboarding, creating the alliance, that would take care of a lot of that. But again, if you're in a session and the client's like firing all this stuff out, stop it, like you said, and say, okay, there's a lot of things that you're throwing out here. Would you want to make a list so that you have this all out of your mind, right? Because it's like the brain dump, right? So would you like to make a list? I mean, at this point, you can make a suggestion. Would you like to make a list? And then this way you can decide when you want to cover these things, but we can't cover that all in this session.
Okay.
Something like that, right? To help to organize that for the client. You could do that. And
And
then
I love
from there say, okay, now out of this list, what is the one thing that we need to focus on today that's going to help, help to move you forward? So even though you asked that first, then you had all this brain dumping going on, help organize the brain dumping and then move forward.
Okay.
That's the way to do that. Okay.
and I'm accustomed to somebody needing to rein me in.
Yeah.
Because my brain goes way too fast. And I also am along for the ride.
Well, I think the interesting thing about you, though, is you go on this tangent, but you figure stuff out. You talk yourself into the answer. So there's a part of me that's noticed that with you too, is that you do, this time I didn't, I think I had, I needed to maybe help guide you a little bit, but you do process stuff. But there were too many tangents this time, right? Because there was a tangent on making money, the tangent on first time being on my own, the tangent of what this 12 hours, is that the right number and how do I maximize them? There were so many different pieces there. And though I do want to give you some latitude because you do have this way of talking yourself forward too, right? And I don't want to squash that because I've
Eventually it
noticed
makes
that with you.
sense.
Yeah. So I don't want
Yeah.
to squash that because I see that in you, that you're I think sometimes getting this out gives you the ability to click clarity to go forward, and so I don't want you to feel stopped up if I don't let it come out too, right? So it's finding that balance.
All right. Okay, so, so that made all sense what I said. It sounds like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. All right, so any questions about, anything that we talked about so far?
No, I think for me, the big thing is just to stop worrying about the markers and just coach and just be myself and not worry that you're there. And it's just, I just still am not in this, I'm not used to having somebody like observing me when I coach and all of that, right? And so I think I'm still working on getting over that. And I
Okay.
think I just need to be Allison in full power and not worry about, and let it just, and see where that shows up, how that shows up.
Yeah,
And not have you're like on this little voice and, I'm like, and so but I'm just being out, yeah, so I need to stop worrying about that.
yeah.
Cheryl's black robe.
Well, no, it's different because I don't feel that way. I didn't feel that way in front of, oh my God, I forgot her name already.
Holly?
Holly.
Lori or Holly?
Lori. I didn't coach in front of Holly yet. I don't feel that way in front
No.
of Lori. I feel that way in front of you though. I want to make you proud.
That's funny.
It's true.
But I mean, I understand, yes. And and I appreciate that. It means a lot to me that, you know, there's that dynamic. But on the flip side of that is that I don't want that to I don't want it to interfere with your performance. So
No, and I know that, and but I'm naming it because when we name something, it takes its power away, right? So I'm naming
yeah,
it, and
absolutely.
I'm just saying it. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Okay. So that's basically our mentoring. And next week, you have Holly back, I think, for the next 2 classes. And then we're off for,
Off for a week, on for a week, off for a week, on for a week. Kind of
yeah,
thing,
we have the mentoring week
yeah.
and
Okay,
then
and
Thanksgiving.
I will get you a call. But
Yeah.
And then I have to get a session in and I still have to review my EQ results.
I didn't do the EQ
I
results
can do
yet. We'll
them.
do them. Yeah, we'll do that later in the course, towards the end. I want to get the mentoring, I want to get the recording first.
yeah,
So that
let me
we
get you.
have, yeah, so we have feedback on those
Yeah.
way before you guys get to the final, which
It's
is
fine.
class 15. So
It's fine. My girlfriend is staying with me. And I'm like, should be great to coach, but like, I don't know how to record it while or we have to maybe do an audio recording, but that's okay.
oh yeah.
I will coach someone where I can do it on video, but I just have to reach out. I forgot, I had lunch with a friend today and I forgot to ask her. So
I mean, it doesn't have to be video. If you want to send me an audio, that's fine.
yeah, we'll see. I just gotta get it done. So
Yeah.
I just need to put on so this contract is a little overwhelming to me. And my house is I think I told you I moved in with Chris and it's tiny. And so right
Mhm.
now I am I'm cleaning up everything and creating, because my desk is in the main room. I don't have place for my clothes. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm gonna have I'm doing these 5 360s. I'm gonna have the notebooks all done. I'm gonna have everything, all the noise on my laptop, my files cleaned up, everything, all these, so I'm trying to create this environment of calm so that, because trying to do 5 360s, at the same, not at the same time, but pretty close together is going to be a challenge. And so
Yeah.
I'm trying to set myself up. So this is kind of, the class cover is kind of got put in the wayside, but I will get back into the game.
All righty. I'll look for that.
Yeah.
And then you too, Bonnie. And if you guys need anything, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you when we get back to the mentoring.
Okay. And I launched my
Need
new web,
bumper.
I launched my new website, Cheryl, if you want to check it out. So
Oh, yes, I do. Did you give me is it the
it's the
Dare to
same.
Be?
I dare to
Oh,
be.
okay.
I dare to
I Dare to Be. I got to
be.com.
remember to put the I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that went up. There's still like
Mine's
a
just my
section
name.
on the front that needs to be, worked out, but I think it's good. It's good. It feels good. I have these 2 sections that I want to shrink, and then I also want to make it more Ellison powerful, but it's good, good start.
Awesome. I
My
will
other
take a
one was
look
just
at it.
something I did as a placeholder and never really put much thought into it. So this was more intentional.
Awesome. I will check it out.
Okay. Thank you.
And, yep, and thanks, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
We'll see you
We'll
soon.
see
All
you
right.
later. All right,
Okay,
bye-bye.
bye-bye.